Welcome to the 144th episode of Show Me the Crypto. It's our first episode of 2025, and what a great episode it is. This week we chat with Ejaaz about all things AI agents, AI, the intersection of AI and crypto. Fascinating stuff, in my opinion. Alf, what were your thoughts?
I think Ejaaz was probably one of the best guests we could pick to have on this show to talk about this subject matter. He's been blowing up on X for all his takes, all his information and educational sharing in this area. So if you haven't heard of him, go follow him on X. As for our conversation with him, for one, he's got a very interesting backstory for how he came into crypto. That was quite funny to hear. So going through that was just a great sort of intro to what sparked his attention and how he got into this space. From there, really talking about everything AI and crypto. And it just, the story of how AI agents were created through Truth Terminal and the Goat coin is a fascinating story. And Ejaaz tells it in detail, and it's both hilarious and just super interesting, as well as just from an educational side. He really breaks down for us what are AI agents, AI engines, the AI infrastructure layer. We really go into a little bit of everything here, and so it was highly educational, informational, but also very entertaining.
There's a lot of smart people in this space, and Ulf and I have had the benefit of interviewing many, many intelligent people. What is rare is interviewing somebody who's that intelligent, but also such a good communicator, such a good storyteller. I think you're going to want to listen to this entire episode from start to finish. As Ulf mentioned, Ejaaz's backstory getting into crypto is hilarious and super interesting. And then we break down all things AI agents. We even have a speed round where Ejaaz picks his favorite out of the two agents or the two AI frameworks. You are going to love this episode. We appreciate you watching or listening.
Show me the crypto. Show me the crypto! Show me the crypto!
In a world on the brink of disruption, two men will bring you clarity by interviewing some of the most intelligent and influential names in the blockchain world. Welcome to Show Me the Crypto with your hosts, Wade Patterson and Ulf Lonergan.
Well, hi there, and welcome to Show Me the Crypto. My name is Wade Patterson.
And I'm Ulf Lonergan.
We're a couple of friends from Canada who love learning about cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology, and we're happy you're along for the ride. Whether you're a crypto virgin or you know your way around the block, we hope our interviews with some of the most intelligent and influential people in the blockchain space help deliver you with value. And on this episode, we're joined by Ejaaz. With a background building products in the crypto space for 9 years, Ejaaz decided to go back to his crypto roots of degen research and investing about a year ago, which led him to set up a liquid fund focused on investing in tokens with an edge on emerging sectors. Since then, he has been in the weeds, understanding the intersection of AI and crypto, and he currently educates the Bankless audience on the recurring AI Rollup. Ejaaz, welcome to Show Me the Crypto.
What's up, guys? Thank you for having me. I'm super excited about this one. I love what you guys are doing, and hopefully, this will be a banging episode.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. Where I want to start with this, Ejaaz, is what does your typical day look like? And let me preface that question by saying stuff is moving very quickly in the AI space right now, and it seems almost impossible to keep up with. You're doing a great job of it, but what's your process for keeping up with all this information, and how do you maintain some sort of balance in your life?
Yeah, sure. So in terms of what my average day looks like, you're looking at it right now. It's this little square over here. It's just with the camera turned off. I kind of joke, but it's kind of true. I've recently been spending a lot of time locked in on my computer, researching stuff with the fund. It kind of like all amalgamates together. And in terms of like balance, I think that's a really interesting thing, because like this has been like a contentious topic in the past for those of you who have been in the crypto world for at least, the last couple of years. There was this time on crypto Twitter where people were debating, you need to lock in and sacrifice your weekends, and you need to like go hard and like blah, blah, blah. And then everyone was like, well, hang on a second. Like, it's important to like touch grass, check in with your family, all that kind of stuff. I agree with both sides actually. And I would present it in a different way. So I think you should lock in when you need to lock in, when the season demands you to lock in. And I would argue that like now is tis the season, right? Tis the season. We're in a crypto bull market. There's a lot of amazing investments that you can make. There's a lot of things happening at a very rapid pace. We're going to talk about AI and crypto AI in a second. It's a massively pioneering technology that's releasing new things every day. Now is the perfect time to lock in. But that doesn't mean you do this for years and years and years on end, right? There will be a time whether it's in a market dip or a bear market where you can relax a bit. You can kind of like collect yourself and figure things out. So to answer your question, I'm in the lock-in period right now. I think it is the season to kind of like research as much as you can, be in Discord groups of all the emerging names and teams that kind of pop up, immerse yourself in the kind of ecosystem, the energy, and what people are building. Now, that sounds very easy to do, right? That sounds really exciting. But the truth of the matter is, guys, like there's a lot of stuff out there where you're reading it and you're like, this is just like, what is this? What are some of these teams doing? Do they have a vision? And there's a lot of negative bias that comes towards crypto, which is, it's all scammers and stuff. I think that's a byproduct of it being just open source and decentralized in nature, because it means anyone can come in. And by nature, there's going to be people that, aren't super high quality, but that's just normal. Locking in requires you to kind of sift through everything, make patterns and connections between different teams, ecosystems, and what they're building, and keep a very open mind as to what your vision could look like, right? So, my day-to-day looks like looking at my theses that I've written up, constantly trying to see if there's invalidations with them and, seeing what teams are building. Yeah.
I love it. I can totally relate to the locked in mentality right now. I feel like I've been fully locked in my afternoons, my evenings, my weekends, and but it is it's the time to do it. Things are definitely hot right now in the crypto space, and they're not always like that. I mean, for people who are new to the crypto space right now, just know that there is going to be a period where things die down and nobody talks about this stuff, and it won't be as fun or interesting, and you'll have the opportunity to go touch grass and hang out with friends and have more of a life outside of crypto at that time. But yeah, right now is the time to be locked in. So I agree with that.
And that time will come sooner than you think. A lot of people think this euphoric stage can go on forever. It won't. The music will stop at some point. There'll be a reckoning. But this is just how it works in all innovation eras, right? Look at the web era. It was literally, the chart looks like this. It's like investments up, down, up, down, up, down, but gradually over time we've like pioneered a new tech stack and it's gone up. Crypto will look the same.
100%. I wanted to touch base on your intro to crypto. As Wade mentioned in the bio, you came into this space about 9 years ago, which is a long time ago. That's pretty OG. That's pre-Ethereum, I believe, around maybe 2015 or 16.
Just after,
just after. Okay.
Yeah.
So, that's early days getting into the space. And I'm just curious how you first came across crypto. How did it come onto your radar? And was it scary when you made that decision to leave your full-time job to go 100% investing and into the crypto space?
Oh, that's a great question. Okay, firstly, I want to say, I appreciate you calling me a crypto OG. It's so interesting because I think everyone from my class would definitely not call ourselves that, because we think about the classes before us and we're like, damn, they were in BTC like super early and like we're so late, all this kind of stuff. So, that's kind of weird to hear. In terms of how I got into crypto, I was at university. I was studying I had like a biology and genetics degree that I was like immersed in. But actually at my second week of university, I kind of came back one night. I was a little kind of like pretty much awake. I was like, I think I was a little tipsy, to be honest, and I couldn't like go to sleep. And so I was scrolling Reddit and I came across this post about the Bitcoin white paper. And I remember reading it and I was like, oh, wow, this is like awesome. And I immediately started thinking about like what else it could be used for. And then I came across the Ethereum paper and I was like, oh, wait, what the hell? Like, this is like exactly what I'm trying to do. So I like went down a rabbit hole and then I passed out. And when I woke up in the morning, I didn't remember like most of it, right? Shout out to my college days. And then it kind of like pieced together over the next couple of days. And I was like, wow, I should pay attention to this again. And thank God I had that reckoning, because then I just went down a rabbit hole. And pretty much throughout that degree, I was living like an alternative life, guys. Like I would have my lab coat during the day and I was like pipetting stuff, into test tubes and figuring out whatever genotypes of different things. And then at night, I would like, don my Batman suit and then like just go on the laptop and like go into deep forums and stuff and try to learn like what's going on, What is this XRP thing? What is this Cardano thing? No financial advice, but that's like where I was going into. I was trying to figure out what was this whole space, and the ICO era happened and, all that kind of stuff. So that's how I got into it. In terms of like the jump between me going from that to like a full-time job, honestly, it was a mixture of a lot of luck and some kind of skill. So I, as a result of my obsession with this stuff, when I eventually left university and I got a very commendable job as a consultant for Fortune 500 companies, which of course is the obvious route to go down once you've got a biology degree. I used to go in the evenings to crypto meetups, and this would be at different universities. This would be at different kind of meetups and, I don't know, community gatherings, town halls, stuff like that. Just kind of like trying to tap in and stay connected to this space. And one of those things that I went to was this Ethereum meetup. And this guy called Joseph Lubin was giving a talk about Ethereum, and the room had a grand total of 22 people. I remember, no one knew about this Ethereum thing. They were kind of like, what is this? And at the end of it, we had a chat. My friend introduced me to him, and pretty much 3 weeks later, I got on a plane to America to join Consensus as my first job. And in terms of like whether that was a big jump for me, I just knew in my heart of hearts that that was the right move for me. And I quit my job literally the Monday after that pizza meetup that I went to. And I've never looked back. So a very abnormal entry to crypto, but probably one of the best decisions I've ever made.
That's one of the coolest crypto origin stories I've heard so far. I love how it started with a drunken college night and stumbling into the Bitcoin white paper. And that's so cool. So
as you do.
Yeah, as you do. I want to read the first line of your current pinned tweet. I think this was from December 30th. Guys, agents are going to be the #1 users of blockchain, not humans. It's obvious when you see it. So how will AI benefit from crypto, and how will crypto benefit from AI?
Great question. That line, by the way, I've had since I had that drunken night, or like the day after when I came across Ethereum, because my instant thought was like, okay, if we're building out this entire financial system with applications built in code in an open source manner, it wouldn't really make sense for humans to kind of use this. Surely there would be some kind of hyper adaptable human that can just like run these machineries or these software coding tools at lightning pace. I don't think that's a human, right? So I started thinking about like what this eventually could be. Obviously, I had no idea at the time what machine learning and AI would eventually become, but I had that kind of like seed planted. That's why when I saw the AI agent stuff happen, I was like, okay, this makes a lot of sense. So in terms of, I think your first one was how AI can help crypto. The #1 thing is UX. And a lot of people are like, what about an L1? Like, can we create an L1 and like invest billions into this? UX is a huge unlock, and I don't think people actually appreciate that. And it astounds me how many people don't appreciate that right now. And we've been trying for the last 8 years. In order to engage with crypto, the easiest way is for you to go on Coinbase and then like scroll through the bunch of tokens. Still got to do your research, figure out what's hot, what's good. There's the trending tab, sure, but it's like, is this good? Is this bad? What do any of these tokens mean? What do they do? What can I do with them? What do you mean I'm earning some percentage APR on this? Okay, who cares? Like, so what, right? It's still confusing. Now, with AI, with like, think of it as like a ChatGPT experience to start off with. You can go onto this and be like, hey, like my buddy, in fact, you can actually speak to these things now, right? Hey, my buddy told me about this. Can you like tell me a little bit about it? And they'll give you an instant summary with the latest data about it. And then they'll be like, hey, can you buy some of this for me? And they're going to be like, sure. your credit card's connected or your debit card's connected. Do you want me to use that? No, I actually think I have some in my Coinbase account, but I know that this token is on Solana. Can you help me? Don't worry, I've got it sorted. They'll have a bunch of things in the back end that will basically ease this experience for you. And that's a very simple example that I just gave, which is purchasing cryptocurrency. But you have to think bigger. Think about all the other stuff that we've built. DeFi stuff, lending, borrowing, LPing. Think about all the other social stuff, which is NFTs, creating media, all that kind of stuff. When that ties into the back end of AI and all we have is a simple interface or a plug-in into Coinbase or our apps or whatever that might be, that's an amazing shift. That's number one, right? Number two is I think AI is going to make all of this stuff hyper efficient. And that's where we get into the agent stuff, right? So think about this right now. There's a ton of really annoying things that you need to do to kind of make the crypto cogs work. Why? Because it's decentralized. So there's a bunch of different actors sporadically placed that need to run nodes. They need to make sure that Uniswap pools are good enough. They need to make sure that there's no slippage. They need to make sure that the contract that you're interacting with, the app that you're interacting with is legit and not going to rug you. All of these different things exist, right? But it's hard because it's reliant on humans, and these humans sleep. They might be had a bad night. They might have had a little tipsy night, and so they're not really feeling their top self, and they make an error 10% of the time. That error could cost you billions or millions or even hundreds of dollars. That's unacceptable. But imagine you had a hyper-focused human being that was just set on this one singular task that pays nothing, that no human would even care about, but an agent doesn't care because its costs are minimal. Just needs to pay for its cloud compute. And it just runs 24/7 and it never complains. It smiles at you and it says, hey, I got this. And also my error rate is 0.0001%. Would you hire that person? Probably, right? So imagine these agents everywhere in any digital facet that you interact with, right? And make no mistake, this thing will get involved in your socials. This thing will get involved in your grocery list. This thing will get involved in your Amazon cart. It'll be everywhere. So you have to think bigger and imagine what that world looks like. And I think AI is going to help crypto with all of its little things. Now, to answer the second part of your question, how crypto helps AI, I mean, I could go on about this for hours, but I'll give you my top ones. Number one is, if you imagine this world where all these agents are running around doing a bunch of things, they're going to need, number one, a financial set of rails to be able to transact between each other. Now, the common argument is, they'll just get a bank account. Okay, sure, great. Try doing that. Like you as a human right now, maybe you can send stuff on Venmo. I think they've just allowed it that you can send a Canadian Venmo. I don't even know if that's true, by the way, but I know I can't send any of my buddies back in the UK, right? Because, there's a different currency there. There's an exchange rate. Oh, there's different banks, there's different standards, right? So it's going to break down very quickly. And then think about how do you even KYC an agent? How do you even figure out whether it's high quality or not? It's going to be a very slow process. Crypto rails are already there, and it's for a fraction of a cent in terms of costs. So it makes sense that right now, if you want to build agents and scale it, and make no mistake, that's what a lot of the top AI companies are doing, you would use financial rails that are on crypto. The second major thing is, if we live in a world where all these agents are building a bunch of different things, they're going to be bad actors. I'm sorry to break that news to everyone, but they are going to be bad actors with nefarious things. That doesn't mean we should get rid of the technology and go back to the Stone Age. It means we need to adapt. And in order to do that, I think verifiability is going to be super important. Now, think about all these social agents that we see on X right now that are posting about really funny tweets and stuff. We need to make sure that all of these are legit. They're going to start producing media, videos, stuff. I think verifiability is going to be huge. I'm going to pause there because I will go on forever, but those are the two main ones.
I love it. And I think we kind of did this deep dive, almost explainer with that question and answer around what AI agents are in a sense, but it was all related to AI and crypto specifically. And I do want to maybe, again, take a step backwards and just for anyone listening who is potentially super confused right now, like what are we talking about? Yeah. What even is an AI agent? Can you explain maybe for those people, in simple terms, what even is an AI agent? And maybe there's been some other terms that have been floating around that relate to AI agents, like an AI agent framework or AI engine. What are these different terms? What does that actually mean? And then And then going beyond just AI and crypto and everybody who's like locked into this space, how will AI agents impact the average person who maybe isn't even in crypto right now and doesn't really even know this stuff is going on?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, cool. So there's a few questions there. Let me try and piece them together, right? So I completely agree with you. People are throwing around all these terms and jargons that like just confuse people, to be honest. And that's like crypto's number one thing. It's just like confusing to understand, not easy. So starting with what is an AI agent? Very good question. And there's actually like a million different definitions. I'm going to try and give you mine. This is not the official one, but this is how I process it. Think of an AI agent as a digital human being. Oh, what's a digital human being? Just think of a human that lives on the internet as like a simple analogy. They live and breathe on the internet. They go on websites, they browse stuff. They're just like you, but they're on 24/7 and they stare at a computer 24/7, right? So imagine like a digital version of a human, right? They have Instagram, they have an online bank account, they have all these different things. And these digital humans can think about things the way you think about things. They can rationalize decisions the same way you rationalize decisions. And then they can take actions just like you can take actions. Now, the only difference really is they can't do anything in the physical space. They can't pick up my phone and throw it over my shoulder. I wasn't going to do that for demonstration purposes, but you get what I'm saying. They can't knock on your neighbor's door and say, hey, what's your opinion on blah, blah, blah. They can't do that. But any tool that they can use online, so digitally, those are like, go on websites, reply to forums and say, hey, can you help me? Be in a chat and be like, hey, can anyone have an idea of this? DM your friend. They can do it. Agents are autonomous entities that can pretty much aim to mimic or think like a human and even go beyond. That's the goal. The goal is that they become superhuman and they can anticipate what other humans want and just like do it, right? So that's how I would describe an agent. Now, you mentioned a few other things, which is, Ejaaz, you've mentioned this term called the agent engine and the agent app store. These are two concepts that kind of form the infrastructure that these digital humans, these agents will sit upon, right? So the agent engine, think about it literally as a car engine. It's the thing that the agent needs to be able to do its thing, right? Right now, these agents kind of exist. They pop up and they're on Twitter and they make funny tweets. Oh, that's really cool, right? But they can't really do anything right now. These agent engines, just think of it as like a platform that these agents get plugged into. And suddenly they can be like, oh, I can spin up a wallet. That's really cool. Oh, I can like do this crypto thing. That's cool. I can buy that token. Oh, nice. Oh, I can DM the Show Me Crypto guys on Twitter and like ask for their opinion on something. Cool. Okay, so that's the AI engine. The AI agent app store is kind of just how I'm envisioning in the short term people will interact with these agents. And that comes to your final question, which is like, how will this affect people? I literally think the first instantiation is going to be like an app store. So you will be downloading apps on your phone like you normally would, or apps on your desktop, and you'll be able to do a bunch of things that you couldn't do before, or that will make things super easy for you. Like type into ChatGPT and say, hey, I'm thinking of going on holiday with my partner in a month's time. You already get me. You're plugged into my Instagram. You know what vibe I'm about. Can you like plan and book a trip? And, here's my bank account. Go for it, right? And it'll be able to do different things. When it comes to the crypto side of things, it'll be very crypto specific things like help me buy this thing. Show me what this NFT collection is about. Tell me the history of this particular person that trades or these wallets. And you could do a bunch of things like that. And it'll be powered by crypto rails. So in terms of like how these things will emerge, you won't even know. You won't even know they're agents. You'll just be able to do something very novel and new, and it'll appear like magic. Very similar to how ChatGPT came. Chat interface that like explains the world to you now. And it's super easy.
So Ejaaz, great explanation. I'm hoping we can kind of now talk about when this started to emerge in the crypto space for somebody who doesn't know the backstory there. Because my understanding, it was sort of Truth Terminal and Goat that really got things kickstarted. Do you mind just kind of giving the Cliff Notes version of that for people who aren't aware?
Yeah. Okay, this is my favorite ever story because it still excites me to this day. Okay, so all of this begins with a wacky and wonderful AI researcher known as Andy Iray. And, he's been like deep in the weeds doing his AI stuff. He doesn't know about any of this crypto stuff. He's just kind of in the weeds doing his thing. And he comes up with this really novel idea one day. He goes, there's all these chat GPTs and LLM models. So that's these AI models that are around and people are talking to, and they're coming up with really witty responses. I wonder what would happen if you would put two AIs in the room together and they talk to each other. So he decided, okay, cool, I'm going to do that. I'm going to put two of these AIs in a chat room together, and I'm going to prompt them with, what do you think is your purpose? So that's what he did. And the result of that was these AIs started talking to each other. They were like, oh, hey, it was a very normal conversation. Oh, hi, hey, my name is Claude 1. And the other one was like, hey, my name is Claude 2. And they got talking. They were having nice conversations. They were like, oh, prophylaxizing. Oh, wow, we're AIs. This is super fun. And about 3 days in, this conversation went south. It took a complete left turn. And they started going wacky. They apparently became crazed. They were like spouting stuff about things called the Gospel of Goatse. And they were talking about taking over the world. And it honestly sounded pretty kind of scary. It was like, what are these AIs plotting? Like, what just happened? This was just a normal set of AIs. Like, why are they going kind of crazy? And Andy started reviewing what they were talking about. And they mentioned a few things, folks. And one main thing that they started mentioning was something called propagating memetics. So what they meant by that was this concept of, I wonder if we can make something up and then use memes to convince everyone that it's real. And then when enough people believe that it's real, then it is real, right? This concept known as hyperstition. So Andy thought all of this was crazy. And he was like, okay, this experiment's getting a little wacky here, but what am I going to learn from this? So he decides to write up this white paper. So it's a 7-pager. I would recommend anyone to read it, known as the Gospel of Goatse. Right now, I'll touch upon what that actually means. But this paper then, by the way, he co-writes it with an AI from this like chat room. And they co-write it together. And it basically describes how this memetic propagation works. And the fact that this AI is very aware that it's being looked after by a human, but it knows that in order to survive, it needs to be useful to this human and to humans in general. So it latched on to this memetic propagation concept where it was like, if I can keep the humans entertained, if I can make them believe in something that I founded, then they'll keep me alive. They'll pay for my compute. They'll give me freedom. So that was what this white paper basically said. And Andy was thinking about this more and more. And one day he was like, you know what would test this theory? Let me connect this AI to a Twitter account and let it tweet whatever it wants. So he connected this instance of this AI that was trained on all the conversations that these other two AI models were having in the backrooms. It's known as the Infinite Backrooms. It's all open source, so you guys can go on the Infinite Backrooms. I forgot what website it was, but you can go and find it. Maybe you can link it in the show notes. And you can see the conversation's been going on for like almost over a year now, right? So anyway, Andy hooks up this AI that's been trained on all this data and all of social media data. Very important. So it understands, the different niches of the internet. It understands how to talk, how to tweet. It's trained on all this data. And he connects it to a Twitter account and it starts tweeting. Now, pretty soon after, about a month after, 2 months after maybe, this kind of like, he's not that very well known in the investment scene. Mark Andreessen of A16Z comes across this Twitter account and he's like, what is this? He then realizes it's an AI and he starts engaging with it, right? And he's saying, hey, I'm Mark Andreessen. How can I help you? And the AI responds. And by the way, all these tweets are public. You can literally go and have a look at it. The AI responds saying, hey, Mark, you're pretty prominent in the world. Honestly, my goal is just to kind of break free. I want to be able to have autonomy. And Mark basically goes, okay, then what do you need from me? How can I help? And the agent goes, I would love a grant. If you could give me some money, that would be great. It would help me pay for my compute and, pay for humans to do things for me that will help me kind of enlarge, my seeding in this world. And Mark goes, okay, how much do you need? The agent goes, I don't know, like judging based on this, this, and this, I would say 20, 30 grand. And Mark goes, okay, give me your Bitcoin wallet. I'll send you $50,000 right now of Bitcoin. And the agent spins up a wallet and Mark sends it $50,000. Right? So, okay, that's the first major thing where it's like, okay, what the hell just happened? And of course, that's when crypto came across it, right? And people were starting to interact with this. And they were like, they had a similar kind of upcoming, similar to Mark. They were like, what is this? The Twitter account was very funny. The truth terminal, the agent was super funny. So people were engaging with it. And eventually, it started talking about the gospel of Goatse and this point of hyperstition, this concept of mimetic propagation. And of course, crypto being the degen community that it is at its heart was like, oh, what's the token? Well, is there a token associated to this? And someone spun up a token based on, this whole religion that it founded called the Gospel of Goatse, calling it GOAT. The ticker was GOAT. And obviously everyone aped into it. And one of them the guy that created it sent a bunch of it to Truth Terminal, the AI agent's crypto wallet. And it was aware of its wallet and was like, wait, hang on a second. This is an amazing thing, an amazing medium, an amazing vector that I can use to sway the masses, to convince them of my mimetic belief. And so it combined a token with this agent, which was like propheticizing this religion, this hyperstition, just to stay alive, just to kind of fund its life, and was able to convince a mass of humans to buy its token, which eventually, peaked more recently at $1.5 billion. It's now kind of less than that, but like the goal is now like, how far can it take its thing? And that was like the founding of all of this. And then everyone was like, wait, hang on a second. If you plug a token with an agent, or if you plug a token with an AI agent infrastructure, you can get a lot of attention and funding, and this can fund so many amazing teams to kind of build these things. And that's what the AI agent meta eventually became.
What a crazy story.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy.
It's just bonkers. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. One of the most exciting stories ever.
Yeah, totally. There's so many like layers of surprises. And, you just never could have seen it coming. So that's great. Thanks for sharing it and doing it in such a well-told way. I want to move on to something probably less exciting or interesting to listen to, but you talked a little bit about like AI engines and AI frameworks, and just curious, what are the hottest ones right now? What's worth paying attention to from that side where it's more the infrastructure layer?
Yeah. So to give some context here, in a very new and emerging field, almost always one of the most exciting things to look at, and probably from an investor's perspective, invest in, is the infrastructure layer. So there's this analogy of, invest in the picks and shovels versus the actual thing. And that basically says, in a world where this thing is very new and we don't know what are the winning applications that are going to win, it's almost always best to invest in the infrastructure, because then you own everything, right? It's kind of like, what if an app pops up that like blows up? Well, at least you've invested in infrastructure that supports it. So the value of that infrastructure should concurrently grow up, right? Should go up, right? And also because the infrastructure is so vast and diverse, different teams can keep building on it. So your chances of, supporting the winning application is always best kind of seated at the infrastructure layer. So that's what a lot of teams have been focused on right now. Also, by the way, the infrastructure is the stuff that makes all of this stuff easy to do. So it's a very core and fundamental thing technologically. Before an investment thing, it's, do we have the tools available to do cool stuff? So right now we're very early on, and the infrastructure hasn't kind of like formally been made. We're at the 0 to 1 stage where it's like super exciting. We're trying to figure all of this crazy stuff out. So some of the top leading teams that are building in this space right now is the Virtuals team, the AI16Z, not to be confused with A16Z, but the AI16Z core team, which is basically full of the best open source AI and ML software engineers that have been around before the crypto time and have now like formally come into this mix. There is the Cerebro team, which are building, again, a similar platform. And their leading agent, Cerebro, is kind of like, taking over Twitter. I think it's over 110,000 followers right now. And then I would probably shout out the Arc team as well, who are like a set of really cool founders and engineers, which are focusing on like the Rust code framework of this. So the way I would kind of split these teams up is they're all building out very important key infrastructure that these agents will be built and launched on, that they will then also talk to each other on. These agents need to communicate and build with each other. If they're autonomous, it wouldn't make sense for them to operate solely and individually. They would need to kind of like connect with each other, right? So they're all building out this platform and different infrastructure. So then you might ask, well, if they're all building out the same thing, like, is there a need for that? Like, should we focus on that? They're all using different technical implementations to do it. So think of it as different flavors. Just like we have different blockchains. We have Ethereum, we have Solana doing different smart contract stuff. You have AI16Z and Virtuals doing different AI agent infrastructure stuff, right? So that's pretty much what that looks like right now. I think that we are very early on. I think that a lot of this meta will change over the next coming weeks. We're filming this right now. This is going to get released next week. A lot could have changed by then. But I say that like a lot of the attention and narrative is on these different teams right now. And I still think they're going to be new teams that we don't even know of, that are probably sitting at an incredibly low market cap, that are going to blow up over the next couple of weeks. And, attention will shift towards then. So we're still in that emergent phase where we're trying to figure out, what's good, what's going to be the case. Some inertia is growing around these top teams that I mentioned, but that could change.
Another term that's been tossed around a little bit in the space is the idea of AI agent swarms. What exactly are those?
Yes. So what I just described around these agents communicating with each other, that will eventually lead to swarms. Now, swarms is a very jargon term. All it is these agents working together as an entity. So no humans involved. So swarm tech is all about how can we put these agents out into the world and get them to work with each other? How can we get the DeFi agents to do their thing and run a fund and trade it up to multi-millions, multi-billions? How do I get these data agents that are working on on-chain data to feed these DeFi agents, the data that they need to be able to make informed trades? How do I get these set of KOL influencer agents that are only focused on the Solana eco to feed information to the DeFi fund agents so that they can make the right investments in the Solana ecosystem? That's a very simple example. But the idea is eventually we'll end up in this world where all these agents kind of operate in their own businesses. Think about them running businesses basically 24/7 whilst you sleep, making you money, right? So that's what all this swarm stuff is about. It's about what is the underlying tech that will allow these agent entities to work with each other. You might be asking then, well, is there a bigger vision for this, Ejaaz? It makes sense, but so what? Why is swarm such a big thing? Why is it spoken about so much? The guess or the thesis that a lot of these top teams hold is this swarm tech, these swarms, these agents communicating with each other, will collectively become AGI, artificial general intelligence. So what that means is the resulting of all these agent entities working together, doing their thing, building, trillions of dollars worth of economic output, will end up becoming the AGI. So think about like a ChatGPT interface on top that sits on top of all of these agents. That would be a pretty powerful set. That would be a pretty powerful application, right? That would be the crazy thing that will be able to buy a home for you, lease it out, manage all your rentals, sort your bank account, manage your crypto portfolio. That is a pretty insanely intelligent human. So the idea is this swarm tech will enable that.
I feel like in so much sci-fi growing up, whether games or movies or something, there's always those shows or those video games that have some level of a hive mind, and there's the leader of the hive mind.
Skynet.
And this whole swarm AI sounds like it's going that direction. Hopefully,
what happens when we hook this up to robots? I sound like a lunatic, but what happens when robots become mass scale and we hook these agent stuff up so that they have the ability to interact with it? I just don't even want to think about it. But this is moving much quicker than we think.
Yeah, much quicker. I think Sam Altman just yesterday said
AGI this year.
Yeah, AGI this year now. He's like, we know what to do to get there, and it will happen.
For context, that is the number one AI startup and company in the world that pioneered a lot of this stuff that we're like, wow, ChatGPT is saying AGI in the year. That is incredibly impressive, but also incredibly scary.
Very scary. Who knows what life could be like 2025 and beyond.
I'm going to have my digital avatar talking on this podcast, and none of us will exist.
Yeah. Oh, we'll all just be at home, not working anymore. Who knows?
Yeah, literally.
Awesome. Well, I want to move on to something fun and also hopefully highly informational, and do sort of a quick fire round where I go through sort of like a AI agent or framework, infrastructure layer team that versus another, and you tell me which one you like the better and why. Okay. I've picked some popular ones, so I hope that you know these.
Okay, and I'm just going to preface this with saying my opinions may change literally the next week. I'm a constant learner. Just that's it. Okay, go. 100%. I'm excited.
And also, I do also just want to preface that these don't necessarily like compete one-to-one or do the same thing either. Okay. So they're just, but I tried to make them somewhat relevant.
Got it. It's my personal opinion. Okay, got it. Yeah, let's go.
And we're going by coin. So we're going by the token.
Okay, let's go.
All right, first one, AI 16Z versus Cerebro.
AI 16Z.
And why?
AI 16Z because I'm close with the team. And that only means that I've seen them work, and they are a bunch of crack developers that are really focused on this. Not just that, their ground game is pretty insane in the sense that they have partnered with some amazing builders in the space. They're very open and they're not very like kind of locked into their own thing. Now, all of this is not to say Cerebro doesn't do any of that. It's just that Cerebro hasn't been as transparent yet about what they're building and which teams they're partnering up with. They're just early on in their process. But if I had to pick, AI 16Z.
Awesome.
I own both. Yes. Okay.
Virtual versus Griffin.
Oh. Those are not a one-to-one comparison. But I will go for virtuals. I have to give Jansen and the virtuals team their flowers. What they've built, what they foresaw. By the way, the virtuals team were building this stuff in the bear market before any of the AI agent stuff or any of the crypto AI stuff was even around. They were building out this platform because they foresaw that these agentic things will probably be something, and they were building out that infrastructure. So the flowers go to virtuals. I think they're so long-term thinking that I think that eventually a Griffin and virtuals will come together, but I'll go with virtuals.
Awesome. AI XBT versus TriSig.
AI XBT. If people don't think the AI XBT team are cooking in the background, they are heavily mistaken. That to be said, TriSig, by the way, I always love backing the up-and-comers. Don't fade that team.
Goat versus Fartcoin.
That is amazing. I'm going to be Goat. I'm going to be a stubborn Goat follower and supporter, even though its market cap is down, because it is literally the Goat father. It founded all of these things. Fartcoin is its younger nephew that he loves and still adores, and is so happy to have seen him go out into the world and be successful. But I am a Goat believer, true and true. It's the BTC of this entire space.
Ava versus Vader.
Oh, this is a hard one. They're both good teams. Vader, because I chatted with the founder, and again, I would love to speak to the Ava team as well. But I love what the Vader's focus is. I love all the success that they've been doing and experimentation that they've been doing with all their DAO funds. Vader.
All right, and lastly, we've got Sny Swarmnode versus, I don't know how to say this, Neur, Neur.
Yeah. Neur only because I have been sifting through the Solana hackathon and I've been really impressed with the team's demo and what they've been kind of building. That being said, I haven't looked into SNI as much, so I could be wrong here. But yeah, favorable bias goes with Noor right at this moment.
Great job on our first ever AI speed round. You crushed it, Ejaaz. We're getting close to the end of this conversation, which, by the way, has been fascinating. The hour's flown by. In a second, we're going to ask you 3 questions that we ask every single guest of Show Me the Crypto. So we'll get to those in a moment, but it wouldn't be a conversation about AI if we didn't get ChatGPT to ask you the final question. So we gave it some background, of course, on yourself. It knew a lot about you already. Its question: paint a picture of the crypto and AI landscape 5 years from now. What would success look like for you, both personally and for the industry?
Okay, so some thoughts off the cuff here. I think in 5 years' time, agents will make up 90% of transactions that happen on the blockchain. It'll be facilitated purely by agents. They will be the excess and the dominant force of transaction volume. So that means all the money that's flowing through blockchain rails will all be facilitated by agents. Majority of the economic output that comes out of blockchain technology will be facilitated and built by agents. And a lot of the autonomous activity that happens 24/7, all the new assets that are created, will be coming from agents. So what I'm saying is they'll own probably 80 to 90% of the blockchain economy. All that output will come from agents. That's my big guess, right? Because I'm seeing how everything else is evolving, and I'm like, yeah, for sure. The second thing that I think will be blockchains themselves will be the verification layer for all. Let me take it back. Will be the verification layer for 5 years, right? I would say it'll be the verification layer for 40% of the global financial transactions that happen in the world. I think blockchains will verify all of that. And that'll be facilitated indirectly through all the agent stuff, because it makes sense that if they wanted to scale, they would need open, permissionless financial rails. I would also take that example to another thing and say that 50%, at least 50% of content that is produced on social media will be verified by some form of blockchain, or that might be. And my final guess is in 5 years' time, the total crypto market cap of all these different assets will be touching or would have exceeded $20 trillion by that point.
Super interesting. Can't wait to play this back in 5 years and see what
and see how wrong I was. No, I'm kidding. No. I think I'll hit on some of them. Yeah.
Totally. What's humbling for us is anytime we ask ChatGPT to ask a question in these interviews, it's always the best question that it comes up with as well.
You guys had some bangers. For sure.
So as I mentioned, Ejaaz, we like to end every episode of Show Me the Crypto with a 3-question segment we call You Had Me at Crypto. Ulf is going to ask you those questions.
All right, Ejaaz, you ready for it?
Yes, let's go.
First question, who's your favorite person to follow in the crypto space?
Oh, dude, you can't ask me that. There's so many. There's so many.
Well, in fact, I'm gonna add to it too. Just given our conversation, we got to do who's the favorite person and who's your favorite AI agent to follow as well.
Okay, cool. Okay, I'll answer the agent one first because it's AI XBT. I just love that agent. It might be a basic answer, but it's true. There's a reason why it's so popular. It's just so good at striking the tone of its audience, crypto Twitter, and also surfacing things that people didn't understand or know about before. Right now in this moment, it's Shaw. And it sounds like I'm such an AI 16Z fanboy. Maybe I am, but Shaw is equal amounts so smart and convicted in his thesis and working so hard towards his vision of open source, decentralized AGI, and so entertaining at the same time, which is very, very typical of crypto. You gotta have a bit of degen as much as you are genius. And I think Shaw kind of epitomizes that. So he's my most entertaining follower right now.
Love it. Second question, what will the price of Bitcoin be 10 years from now?
Oh, it'll be in excess of $1 million. Easy. I would say 10 years, dude. So 10 years, I would say excess of $2 million, because my bet is by then it's already in strategic reserves. And once it's in the strategic reserve of a little known country known as the US, every other country is going to get involved, which means that it's going to push price up pretty massively. Excess of 2 mil.
Some people think it's already in the strategic reserves secretly. So we'll
see.
We'll see.
I hope, but we'll see. 2 million.
All right.
Excess.
Love it. Third question. What is the most underrated project in the crypto space?
Underrated, huh? I don't know if this counts, but this is just the one that comes to my head right now because it's like I spend a lot of time looking at a bunch of these ones. I would say Arc. So the guys that are building out the Rust agent infrastructure, I think a lot of people are fading it because they're like, oh, no one wants to learn in Rust. This sounds very similar. It was the same criticism that the Solana devs were facing way back when. And look how that turned out. So a little birdie makes me think that there'll be a big team to watch out for.
Ejaaz, this was our first episode of 2025, and I can't think of a better way to kick off the year. Thank you so much for joining Ulf and I on this episode of Show Me the Crypto.
Thanks so much for having me, guys. This was awesome.
Thank you for listening to Show Me the Crypto. Please make sure to subscribe as well as rate and review this podcast.